let's talk about Monad. You've probably heard the name floating around, right? It's one of the hottest new projects in crypto, and for good reason. Imagine a brand new blockchain that's aiming to be ridiculously fast. But, and this is the key part, it still works perfectly with everything built on Ethereum. So what's the big deal? What's all the hype about? Let's dive in and break it down for you.
Okay, so first, let's set the stage. Why do we even need something like Monad? Well, if you've ever tried to do anything on a popular blockchain during peak hours, you know the pain, right? You're trying to make a swap, buy an NFT, whatever, and you're just stuck. The transaction is pending forever, and the fees are through the roof. It's super frustrating. And look, this isn't a bug. It's actually a core design problem that many blockchains have. So what's really going on here?
The best way to think about it is like this. Picture a single-lane highway right smack in the middle of rush hour. It's completely jammed. Every single car, or in our case, every single transaction, has to wait in a long line, one behind the other. The moment too many cars try to get on that highway, boom, gridlock. Nothing moves.
And that traffic jam? It actually has a technical name. It's called sequential execution. You see, most blockchains, including Ethereum, process everything one at a time in a single file line. Now, doing it this way is really good for keeping things secure and orderly, no doubt. But it creates this massive bottleneck. I mean, this is the reason Ethereum can only handle maybe 15 to 30 transactions per second. For a system that wants to be global, that single-lane highway, it's just not going to work.
So, what's the answer? Well, if the problem is a single-lane highway, the solution seems pretty obvious, right? Just build more lanes. And that is exactly what Monad is doing with its big innovation. It's called parallel execution.
And the difference here is just night and day. On the left, you've got the old way, sequential. Task 1 has to finish before Task 2 can even think about starting. But on the right, with Monad's parallel approach, it just crunches through a whole bunch of transactions all at the exact same time. It's literally like blowing up that tiny one-lane road and replacing it with a massive 10-lane superhighway.
Now, the real magic here is in the name optimistic parallel execution. Monad basically makes a very smart bet. It assumes that most of the time, transactions in a block have nothing to do with each other. Think about it. If I'm sending some ETH to my friend, and at the same time you're buying a cool new NFT, our transactions are totally independent, right? So Monad just says, hey, let's just run them all at once and sort it out later. It's optimistic.
So how does that actually work without everything breaking? Well, it's a really clever three-step process. First, Monad just goes for it and executes everything in a block in parallel, all at once. Then, second, it goes back and checks the results, one by one, but in the correct order, to make sure it all adds up. And third, what happens if there is a conflict? You know, like if we both try to buy the exact same NFT at the exact same second? The system is smart. It only reruns that one single transaction that caused the problem. This is so efficient because it doesn't have to throw out all the other work that was perfectly fine.
And the result of all this clever engineering? An absolutely massive jump in performance. Monad is targeting a speed of 10,000 transactions per second. I mean, just let that sink in. That isn't a small step up, that is a giant leap. We're talking hundreds of times faster than what Ethereum can do today. This is the kind of power you need to really bring crypto to the masses.
Okay, but just having parallel execution isn't the whole story. You can't just slap that onto an old engine and expect it to work. To get these insane speeds, the Monad team had to basically redesign the whole engine from the ground up. So let's pop the hood and see what other pieces make this whole thing run so fast. First up, we have something called MonadDB. Now think about your computer for a sec. It doesn't matter how fast your processor is if your hard drive is slow as molasses, right? You're still going to be waiting around. Well, it's the same for blockchains. A lot of them use generic off-the-shelf databases that just weren't built for this kind of workload. Monad? Nope. They built their own custom database from scratch for one reason and one reason only, to shovel data into the execution engine as fast as humanly possible. The other key piece of the puzzle is MonadBFT. Now, consensus all really means is, how do all the different computers running the network agree on what happened and in what order? Monad's consensus system is so ridiculously efficient that your transactions are locked in, like final, irreversible done, in under 1 second. That's huge. It means you're not just getting speed, you're getting that secure confirmation almost instantly. All right, so we've talked a lot about the tech. Now let's switch gears and talk about the fuel that makes this whole engine run, and that, of course, is the MON token. First thing to know, there's a hard cap. The total supply of MON is fixed at 100 billion tokens. That's it. No more will ever be created. And why does that matter? Well, it's basic economics, right? It means there's a built-in scarcity, which is really important for the health of the network's economy.
So where do all these tokens go? If you look at the breakdown, something really stands out. A huge chunk, a really big piece of the pie, is set aside for growing the ecosystem and for the community. This isn't an accident. They are deliberately putting their money where their mouth is, to get developers to build cool stuff and to reward the people who show up and use the network early on. It's all about kickstarting that flywheel of growth. So what do you actually do with the MON token? Well, it has three main jobs. First off, it's the gas. You use it to pay for transaction fees on the network. And because Monad is so efficient, the plan is for those fees to be super low. Second, you can stake your MON. This basically means you lock it up to help keep the network secure, and in return, you earn more tokens as a reward. And finally, holding MON gives you a voice. You get to participate in governance and have a say in where the project goes in the future. Okay, so we've got this super fast tech, and we've got the token that powers it all. But so what? What does this all add up to? Let's take a step back and look at the big picture, because this is where it gets really interesting. This right here might be the single most important slide. Monad is fully compatible with the EVM, the Ethereum Virtual Machine. Now, if you're new to this, just think of the EVM as the operating system for Ethereum. All the apps, all the tools, they're all built for it. What Monad being EVM compatible means is that any developer with an app on Ethereum can just copy-paste it over to Monad Superhighway without changing a single line of code. It's a total game changer. It's plug and play for the biggest ecosystem in crypto. And when you put the numbers side by side, it really clicks. Look at this. Monad is targeting speeds that are right up there with a performance beast like Solana. But, and this is the killer feature, it keeps that full EVM compatibility that Solana doesn't have. So you're basically getting the speed of a specialized chain, but with access to the massive developer community and user base of Ethereum. It's trying to be the best of both worlds. So again, why does all this matter? Well, this kind of performance opens the door for a whole new class of applications that were just impossible before on the EVM. I'm talking about things like high-frequency trading desks that need Wall Street-level speed, but running on a decentralized network. Or think about massive online games where every single item, every action is an on-chain transaction that happens instantly with zero lag. That's the stuff that just can't work on a slow, congested highway. And that brings us to the real vision here. When you boil it all down, Monad isn't just trying to build a faster Ethereum. The ambition is so much bigger than that. The goal here is to build a piece of financial plumbing that's so fast, so cheap, and so scalable that it could actually support massive global systems. So the real question we're left with is this unique combination of raw speed and easy compatibility the magic formula that finally brings the next wave of users into crypto? We'll have to wait and see.